Ken Goldman from Silicon Valley. I'm going to make a couple of comments, actually. I actually came because I do believe we have an issue here. But I have to say, honestly, this is a very one-sided panel. It's extremely one-sided. I was surprised the way we created this panel.
Well, the whole conference is very one-sided.
Can I talk, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like to use swear words, too. Jane, thanks for, I saw you yesterday at lunch, too. It was quite good. And we make comments and swear words with anecdotes and so forth. And all I've heard about here is talking about taxes. I haven't seen anything in correlation of growth, which I'll come back to it again. And just a couple comments. Today, the U.S. basically has the lowest unemployment rate ever, the lowest black unemployment rate ever, the lowest youth unemployment ever. We've actually reduced poverty around the world. No one's talking about that at all. People negated philanthropy. Just read a couple weeks ago the article on Bill Gates and what he's done in Africa and reducing malaria, reducing polio. So why don't we talk about that? So really I have a question for the panel. And yes, I agree, tax avoidance is probably a big issue, probably a bigger issue than we think. But instead of taxes, what else do you, instead of redistributing wealth, what are we talking about in terms of creating wealth? You know, frankly, what people really want is a dignity of a job. And we've given more jobs in the U.S. We've increased the minimum wage, just like California, with the minimum wage going to $15. May not be a lot, but it's up from $7. So I'd like for the panel to talk about beyond taxes, which every one of you have talked about. The only thing you've talked about in this whole panel on inequality, what can we really do to help solve inequality over time beyond taxes?
The gentleman who talked about, who said we've just talked taxes and that jobs are there and there's low and unemployment rates are low. Let me tell you something. We're talking about jobs, but the quality of those jobs. I've just told you about Dolores in the United States who wears a diaper to work. That's not a dignified job. I can tell you about a company. I took a taxi in Nairobi recently, and I was charged, the minimum charge I think would be that. I was charged less than $2 for a taxi ride. Where in the world do you go in a taxi for less than $2? I asked the taxi driver. He was from one of these companies, I won't mention which. I said, how much are you getting out of this? He said 20% must go to the global company that owns the network. So I said, then what about the rest? He said, the rest I have to share with the owner of the taxi out of $2. I asked him where he rents his home, where he lives. He said they rent a room, 3 taxi drivers. They sleep in turns, 6 hours, 5 hours, because none of them can afford to rent a room. That's the job. Those are the jobs we are being told about, that globalization is bringing jobs. The quality of the jobs matter. It matters. These are not jobs of dignity. In many countries, workers no longer have a voice. They are not allowed to unionize. They are not allowed to negotiate for salaries. So we're talking about jobs, but jobs that bring dignity. We're talking about healthcare. The World Bank has told us that 3.4 billion people who earn $5.5 a day are on the verge, are just a medical bill away from sinking into poverty. They don't have health care. They are just a crop failure away from sinking back into poverty. They have no crop insurance. So don't tell me about low levels of unemployment. You are counting the wrong things. You're not counting dignity of people. You're counting exploited people.
I want to...